Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Fox Sports.
After dropping 2 of 3 games in the Bronx, the Rays' 3-city road trip continues into the Motor City. Today, left-hander Drew Smyly returns to Detroit for the first time since being traded to Tampa Bay and looking to shut down a struggling Tiger team. It's a Labor Day matinee on Sun Sports. Next. This afternoon, we welcome you to Detroit, Michigan, Comerica Park, as the Rays begin a 3-game series versus the Detroit Tigers. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an afternoon of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. Great to have you with us on this Labor Day. Well, the Rays now 3-3 on this road trip, dropping 2 out of 3 to New York, and they come in here against this Detroit ball club needing at least a series win. A sweep would be preferable, and they're going to send the left-hander, the former Tiger, Drew Smyly, to the mound.
I want to tell you something. Drew Smyly coming off his best start of the season, and it was vintage Drew Smyly. What we've seen since he's come over to the Rays, and where he really puts an offense at a disadvantage is that he stresses the entire strike zone. You'll see him work that fastball up in the zone to get chases, and you'll see him work the curveball down below the zone and everywhere in between. And he was outstanding against the Baltimore Orioles his last time out. 7 shutout innings, just 1 walk, double digits in strikeouts. He'll look to continue that against his old team. You know he's excited to be out on the mound here today. One guy he's going to have to face, one guy he's going to try and have to control is Miguel Cabrera. You can put the numbers up there since return from the DL. Before the DL, he probably hit when he was on the DL. This guy is maybe, arguably, the best hitter in the game today. Balanced at the plate, can handle any pitch, tremendous plate coverage, and tremendous power. So he's a guy that you got to keep an eye on here this afternoon in the middle of that Tigers lineup.
And despite all those great numbers, hitting .353, leading the major leagues this year, the Tigers are struggling. They've dropped 13 of their last 16. They're running last in the American League Central Division. Rays and the Tigers moments away on what will be a clear but warm afternoon. Temperatures reaching into the low 90s today here in Detroit. Back in Detroit, the Rays and the Tigers square off this afternoon. Tigers come in 62-74. The Rays 2 games under the 500 mark at 67-69, running 4.5 back in the wild card. And counting this one, the game's dwindling down to a precious few insofar as the Rays' wild card hopes are concerned. 26 games left in the regular season for the Rays, counting this one. Take a quick look at the starting lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealer. Brandon Guyer is going to lead it off, followed by Mikey Matuk in right, hitting second, and Evan Longoria will DH today and hit third. Logan Forsythe continues to be red hot. He's in the cleanup spot in front of Asdrubal Cabrera, who's hot as well. Richie Schaefer will get a start at third base. James Loney hits seventh at first. Kevin Kiermaier in the eighth spot, and J.P. Arancibia will do the catching, batting ninth.
Well, and the Rays will be facing left-hander Randy Wolf in his 16th major league season. He's got 3 starts on the season, 0-3, ERA 6.11, and a little support, please. Randy Wolf, in those 3 starts, the Detroit Tigers have yet to score a run while he's been on the mound. Maybe that'll bode well for the Rays here this afternoon. Let's take a look at the defense and see how it's going to line up behind Mr. Wolf this afternoon. Brought to you by BMW. In the outfield, left to right, we have Rajai Davis, Anthony Gose, and J.D. Martinez. And across the infield, third to first, we have Andrew Romine, Dixon Machado, Ian Kinsler, and Miguel Cabrera, with James McCann behind the plate.
So the Tigers need pitching. That has suddenly become an issue for them here in Detroit. And the 39-year-old left-hander, Randy Wolf, on the hill, twice undergoing Tommy John surgery. The most recent was at the end of October in 2012. He's been pitching at Buffalo and now makes his 4th start for the Tigers. And Brandon Guyer in the lineup with a lefty out there. Rays have fared very well this year against left-handed starting pitching, and the first pitch of this game, presented by Pinch a Penny, is a strike call. 85 degrees the temperature at game time. Forecast to hit 92 here in Detroit today. 1-1 to count on Guyer.
And the fastball from Randy Wolf is not going to be much harder than that. You just saw that last pitch at 87. But he's got a very good idea of what he's doing out on the mound. Fastball, cutter, slider, curve. He's going to come at you with everything.
1-2.
And there was that cutter, 82 miles an hour. 133 big league wins.
And Guyer taking that pitch inside, thought it might have brushed him, and he is a master at that.
He really is. I mean, anything close to Brandon Guyer in and around the belt and lower, he was not afraid to kind of move that thigh out there, and you'll see him right here. Take that step. Look at him lean. Boy, lean with the back leg that time.
He's been hit 18 times this year and now has a running conversation going with Todd Tishner about that. Fouls it out of play. Well, the Rays are 24-14 against left-handed starting pitching this year. That's the best in the big leagues. And Guyer has started all 38 of those games, 37 in the leadoff spot. Leading off again today. Down to third, fair, behind the bag. Romine's throw is in time to get Guyer.
Well, that was a nice play. You got to backhand that ball and then make the long throw. That's the difficult part. You're already in nice position, a good backhand, now in foul territory, but the strong throw right on the money.
Here's Mikey Matuk starting in right field. And a liner up the middle. Kinsler's there on one hop to make the play.
Boy, that ball off the bat, the trajectory says that's going to get into center field, but it was hit off of the end of the bat, and a nice play by Kinsler.
Well, there's the Rays breakout since the 30th of May against left-handed starting pitching. They're averaging over 4.5 runs a game.
Well, look at that on-base percentage, the slug, I mean, everything. And this right-handed hitting lineup for the Rays has done some damage, and that's why you hold out hope in this series, because they're going to face 3 lefties.
Evan Longoria takes the pitch down.
And so not only are you facing, left-handed pitching, which those numbers just tell a lot, but 3 games in a row, you get into a rhythm, or you can get into a rhythm, which is even better.
Well, no point in looking back, but that's one of the reasons yesterday's loss was so painful for the Rays as they tried to get to 500 and then come in here against the Tigers, a struggling team, and facing left-handed pitching. Longoria delivers a single up the middle, picking up the first hit of the game.
Well, that was right off the end of the bat, too, but I think that you're going to see, number one, these Rays hitters will be aggressive against Randy Wolf. Number 2, they better have that up-the-middle type of approach, because for the most part, Randy Wolf is going to look for his outs on the outer half of the plate. If you're trying to pull that pitch, it's going to give you trouble.
And that's a part of the plate that Todd Tishner will expand a little bit for a pitcher against a right-handed hitter. He's not going to give you much down, but he'll expand that plate wide.
Then you really better have that up-the-middle other way approach, or you'll be in big, big trouble.
Forsythe takes a pitch upstairs. Logan is 14 of his last 26 to cover a 7-game hitting streak. That's a .538 average for the life of that streak. Now 1-1.
Hey, remind me during the break to remind them to throw another log on the fire. It's not hot enough in here. It's like 816 degrees in this booth. I'm sorry. Having trouble. Shirt may come off.
We'll get a wide shot from center if that happens.
I'm going to hide behind the monitors.
Longoria, the runner at first. Forsythe with a count of a ball and a strike. And down off his foot, foul. Count is 1-2, and Logan right above the foot, above the ankle on that lower left shin.
With those balls that are moving in towards you, you're trying to get the bat head out, and you get below the knees, and there's not a lot to protect you. And this ball, like a cutter in and hammered right off the shin. Listen, that's what put Mark Teixeira on the disabled list, was a ball off the shin, and he wears the guard.
Down in there again, and it's 2-2. And there's a strike call. Fastball got him looking. The Rays leave a man, do not score. Bottom of the first coming up. Game of the series. We'll take a look at the Tigers lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Rajai Davis will lead it off, followed by Ian Kinsler and then Miguel Cabrera. In right field, J.D. Martinez. The DH is Nick Castellanos. James McCann does the catching. Dixon Machado at shortstop. That's Romine. Andrew Romine at third, hitting eighth, and Anthony Gose in center field.
Facing former teammate Drew Smyly, 8th start of the season, coming off his best. I mean, 7 shutout innings against the Orioles. Talked about that in the open. 10 strikeouts, just 1 walk. He was as good as you can see.
And his first pitch here is a strike call. Smyly pitching here in Detroit for the first time since the day he was traded back in July of last year.
Well, and some guys, you know, they dread coming back to face a former team in the old ballpark, and some guys really look forward to it, and Drew Smyly would fit into that category. He is excited about being out on the mound here today.
Yeah, he pitched his stint that day and said he had no thought in his mind that he would be traded. No idea. Got his work in, pitched, and then was traded.
It's when the name is bandied about, it doesn't happen, you know, and then all of a sudden they sneak up on you and grab you and say, you're going to be moving on. Something going on here with Rajai Davis. You know, let's go ahead and set that Rays defense for you while Davis is attended to. Brought to you by BMW. In the outfield, the Rays are going to have Geyer, Kiermaier, and Matuk left to right. And across the infield, third to first, Richie Schaefer, Asdrubal Cabrera, Logan Forsythe, and James Loney, with J.P. Arencibia getting the start behind the plate.
Well, Davis has had an issue with a finger on his hand, and that may have been that issue there. Pops it up, and Forsythe handles that. So Davis stays in for the next pitch and pops out.
Well, let's take a look earlier in that bat. A pop-up. Yeah, maybe bad breakfast.
Could have been that as well. Ian Kinsler, and through the right side against the shift, and a base hit for Kinsler in the open spot where the second baseman normally would be positioned. And Kinsler, a very aggressive hitter after that first pitch.
Yeah, very aggressive and often looking to pull, obviously, with the Rays running the ship, but he stayed inside that ball nicely and just poked it the other way for a base hit. Base runner for the Tigers.
One on, one out for Miguel Cabrera. A swing and a miss, and you're so right about him in your opening comments. He might be the only guy who could go on the DL and come off with his average even higher than when he went on. This guy can hit.
Dwayne, it's remarkable. And he'll use the whole field with power. Has a great idea of how pitchers are going to approach him.
Well, take a look. Our GMC big matchup here. What he has done since 2008 and where he ranks. Tops in average, RBIs. Little nubber. Smyly will take this one to first base, moving Kinsler into second.
Well, a swinging bunt by Miguel Cabrera gets Kinsler into scoring position. And those numbers, I mean, that's the Ray era. I mean, since Tampa Bay became the Rays and dropped the Devil, those are those numbers. I mean, since 2008, pretty remarkable. Well, in the home run department, Albert Pujols leads the way with 273, so he's knocking on that door. Pretty remarkable, the combination of power and average.
And now J.D. Martinez, he's been a remarkable find for this Detroit ball club since Houston let him go. He comes in the 4th leading hitter in the home run derby in the American League and 6th in runs batted in.
Can you imagine he was still in that Houston lineup? I mean, come on. And they let him go. I mean, they just cut him loose. This wasn't a trade. This wasn't anything. This was, there you go. Good luck finding another job. And the Tigers picked him up, and he's gone off.
Since the middle of last year, so we're over a month, the middle of last season till now, he is 3rd in the major leagues in home runs. Nelson Cruz and Mike Trout have more. 1-2 the count to J.D. Martinez. It's foul into the stands. We'll take a look at the American League home run leaders this year, tied with Albert Pujols. Martinez. Chris Davis taking over the top spot with 40.
Well, some guys starting to flex their muscles. Still got 4 weeks to play. Could Davis get to 50?
Two balls, 2 strikes. Runner at second is Ian Kinsler. He singled through the right side of the infield. Moved to second on the tap by Cabrera. He's there with 2 gone. Back into the screen. Not a lot of at-bats up and down this lineup for the Tigers against Smiley Kinsler, who got the base hit, now is 4 of 8 against him with a home run. Not a lot of other at-bats in the similar situation for the Rays against Wolf. Only Loney has a good number of at-bats against him.
Yeah, you'd have to go into the Tigers records, deep into the Tigers records, and dig up the intramural numbers. See what he did in those spring training games.
A full count. And he got him a cut to miss. So he gets him with the breaking stuff. Martinez out on strikes. A man left. We're through 1. No score. on Sun Sports is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By Outback Steakhouse, curbside takeaway. Order online at Outback.com. And by Morgan Auto Group. Make it Morgan. We make it happen. Asdrubal Cabrera red hot at the plate. Takes a pitch for a ball. Cabrera, Schaefer, and Loney coming up for the Rays against Randy Wolf. There's a strike. Tom Tishner out of Nebraska calling the balls and strikes. Chris Siegel first, Tim Timmons second, and Tim Welke down at third. One ball, two strikes.
Well, Randy Wolf is going to make you think. He's going to come at you with the slow curveball, that fastball. We've already seen him both sides of the plate.
Well, he is now one of those lefties who could drive you crazy with stuff that's not going to overpower you, but could be all over the strike zone and at different speeds.
He's the guy that gives you the comfortable 0 for 4. You say, man, I saw the ball well. I wasn't worried about him powering a fastball by me, and yet I came up with nothing. Not even hard contact. And right there, how about him climbing the ladder at 88 miles an hour?
Yeah, he got Cabrera to chase that fastball. He got Forsythe on a pitch up there at 88.
Yeah, that pitch to Forsythe. There, he climbs the ladder away. The pitch to Forsythe was looking in, and he'll try to bury that. We saw him do it with Geyer, too. Just moves the ball around, kind of lulls you to sleep, and before you know it, you're back in the dugout.
Richie Schaefer. Oh, down and into him. One ball, no strikes. So Schaefer in the lineup at third base this afternoon for the Rays. Two and 0.
I would imagine we'd see a lot of Richie Schaefer in this series with all the lefties. Get him a chance to get out there a few days in a row. Make something happen.
Well, he's hit 28 home runs between the minor leagues and the big leagues this year. So that's a pretty good year regardless of where you're playing.
Well, and when you watch him swing, you understand the 28 home runs. He does not get cheated. He's got a big swing, a powerful swing, and if he catches one clean, boy, does it go.
There's a shot back into left, but it's just going to hang up out there and be caught by Davis.
You know, that's the second ball we've seen come off the bat with the good trajectory, well placed, but it's off the end. Did not catch that flush, and it just kind of died out there in left field. Not to mention left field, left center. You got to get into it to get out of here anyway. 345 down the line.
Now James Loney. Loney with 13 career at bats. He's 3 for 13 against this veteran left-hander Randy Wolf. Pops it up, back of third. Romine into foul territory, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Wolf. Through an inning and a half, no score. Up for Tyler Bentley, his mentor Randy Lewis, and the Take Stock in Children's program. Tyler attends St. Petersburg College, pursuing a degree in criminal justice, and is grateful for the Take Stock in Children program, which awards deserving students a scholarship while in middle school and caring mentors to help them achieve their dreams. We raise up for education. How do you raise up? Nick Castellanos leads off the bottom of the second. Smiley throws him a strike. Interesting with these two lefties matched up.
Well, both guys can be very frustrating to face. I mean, think about that last at-bat in the last inning with J.D. Martinez. He swings at a full count breaking ball in the dirt. Probably saying to himself, how do I swing at that? But that's the deception of Smiley. He's tall, he's gangly, he comes right over the top, downhill at you. Then he'll, climb the ladder with that fastball. Supremely confident in his game plan.
Be interesting, the approach that hitters take up there. And you have a great field yourself, facing all those hitters as they try to time pitchers, and the timing of their delivery has, I would think, as much to do with it as actually what pitch they're throwing.
It can. It can. I mean, there are some guys that are mechanically so quiet and smooth and easy, and then the stuff that comes out is just jumps on you, and you're like, whoa, whoa. And you get other guys that are herky-jerky, and now you're having trouble finding the release point. There's another punch out there by Drew Smiley, and Drew's one of those guys that just stays quiet. His stuff doesn't jump on you as much as that arm angle coming from way up top. Not many guys pitch from that arm angle, and you can see right there, he's able to just power that fastball right in there and for the strikeout. And it's not overpowering. It's not like the pitch is 96, 97, but he just lulls you with the curveball, move it here, and then boom.
Yeah, and that's 20 pitches, 17 strikes right now of his first 20 pitches. Here's McCann. 1 ball, no strikes.
Well, this is his 8th start with the Rays this year. Only 8 walks on the season.
Yep.
I mean, he just doesn't walk anybody.
44 strikeouts now.
You talk about, setting yourself up for success. You just don't allow unnecessary base runners. Make them earn everything that they get.
To the right side again. Nobody over there except Tim Timmons, and he's not going to make the play. So against the shift, McCann has a base hit.
Now that's the second Tiger hitter that's been able to thwart the Rays' defensive setup.
You're going to have to give Timmons a glove and a Rays jersey.
Well, he would have made the play.
1 on, 1 out. Dixon Machado, the young shortstop up here. Takes a pitch low. Machado's 23 years old, out of Venezuela. And the Tigers have had high hopes for him, and then he leveled off a little bit and has had a resurgence. 1-1.
And now, because of the Tigers' predicament, he's going to get a chance to show that he belongs, to showcase himself. I mean, this team, if they fulfilled expectations, he's not here right now. I mean, this was a team that was supposed to win the Central, contend for the Central with the Royals. That has not happened, but now he's got an opportunity to prove himself.
He's 3 out of 14. Smiley ahead of him in the count and pops him up. It's Forsythe to take care of that. Seems to me that Smiley he comes out of that same release point all the time. And I think, the question was, why would J.D. Martinez, 3-2, swing at the breaking ball in the dirt? But he comes out of that same release point of every pitch. And you'll see some of those pitches up, and hitters chase those. You'll see the curveball out of the same spot. It's in the dirt. And then we saw him run that pitch in on Castellanos and get him on strikes.
He's similar, left-handed Jake Odorizzi. He stresses all quadrants of the strike zone and then some. And, you often, guys that come downhill are working down in the zone all the time. But Drew Smyly comes downhill, but then he'll work up. That's the pitch really that made the difference for Drew Smyly. He had nice numbers with Detroit. They went to the next level, 14 starts with the Rays, a 2.32 earned run average. And the difference is the elevated fastball. His use of that with the Rays has, allowed him to make that jump to the next level.
Yeah, the Tiger people here coming back in, look at his numbers and the strikeout numbers being as high as they are.
Yeah.
Something they didn't see when he was here, and that pitch up has a lot to do with that.
How many strikeouts will you get on the elevated fastball? A number. Guess what? You'll also get them to chase the curveball below the zone because of that pitch.
Back to the hill. Smyly takes care of that. A hit, no runs, and a man left, and we head to the third. No score in Detroit. Strongest fan photo. Use hashtag #SSDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Kevin Kiermaier will open the inning for the Rays. Then J.P. Arancibia and Brandon Guyer.
Okay, Dwayne, I'm looking out at Anthony Gose right now. If Kevin Kiermaier goes right center field into the deep part, inside the park home run.
Yes.
I'm calling it right now.
And now Gose is moving over a little bit. But for that first pitch, he was actually toward left center field. The Tigers have moved him to straightaway for that second pitch. And now a few more steps in toward right center in this one. And there's a one-hopper handled by Kinsler, who turns and throws.
That's what I want to see, though. Before the end of this series, I want Kiermaier into the gap, left center, right center, and then watch him run and see if they can keep him at third. Because he's getting to third. You know that.
Yep. Well, if he gets that ball out there where the scoreboard is.
Yes.
That will be fun.
He's
Get one and let it roll a little bit along the bottom of the wall on the track.
He'll score standing up.
Yeah.
He'll just run into the arms of whoever's hitting behind him.
The foul ball by Aaron Sebia. You could actually see a line drive headed in that direction off his bat.
Absolutely, absolutely. And with his burst out of the box.
Nothing in 2.
How about the miles per hour on that? 68 on that slow curve. So we've seen him from 90 to 68 and everywhere in between. That's how a guy like Randy Wolf will frustrate you.
It's a ball, 2 strikes. Wolf went to school at Pepperdine.
What a gorgeous campus that is.
Isn't it?
Oh, my.
It's hard to compete with any other location.
I found it on accident, just driving by, and I'm like, you got to tell me that's a college campus?
Yep.
Who goes to class?
Yeah, you have to be a dedicated student to go there.
No question.
Fly ball the other way into right, and J.D. Martinez waited almost a beat too late to gather that one in.
Just about played that into a double. Looked like he had it under control, and then, uh-oh, this is carrying.
So 2 gone with the bases empty. The Rays have had 1 base runner. That was the single in the first by Longoria. And here's Brandon Guyer up here again. He takes a strike. Guyer, the first time up, tried to, in his low-key way, entice Todd Tishner into saying that he was hit by a pitch. And he's been so good at that.
Is that something that you want to be known for? Just curious. I mean, like, I'm really good at getting hit by pitches.
Well, you know, your on-base percentage, that's a nice thing to have. And we've seen a lot of guys who you'd love to get hit a little bit more just to get on base more.
Next time he tells you that it's all happenstance, you got to show him that. I mean, that back leg, and there was a slight lean, just get grazed and head to first.
2-2 now.
I'll tell you, it does make it difficult on a pitcher. I mean, you remember the guy, Craig Biggio.
Oh,
he
yeah.
used to stand right up on the plate. He would handle everything that you threw him away, and then when you would try to come in, oh, there goes the elbow with the big pad and take your base. It made it tough to pitch in on him.
Yeah, the guys who pad up like that, yeah, you know, that, okay, it doesn't seem fair. Although, you know, pitchers start pitching in, but you can see on the all-time list, Biggio is second. Huey Jennings.
What was his problem?
Who years ago managed here. The count is full now, 3-2. You see, now you go 3-2, 6 pitches. If Wolf walks him, you might as well hit him on the first pitch. You save 6 pitches.
And today, in the game today, that means a lot. I mean, 6 pitches could be, you know, an inning. It could be a couple extra outs.
Yep.
Very valuable pitch count now.
There's a chop toward the hole. A turn by Romine,
Wow.
and the throw got him. Oh, my. What a play right there to deprive Guyer of a base hit. The Rays are up and down 1, 2, 3. We're through 2.5. No score.
of the third inning. Drew Smyly is back in Detroit and facing his former team for the first time since being traded at the trade deadline last year. Here's Smyly on his time with the Tigers and on the trade.
Didn't even know we were in the running for a starting pitcher, and then sure enough I come out like the 5th inning, and you know, 10 minutes later Dombrowski's, you know, in the locker room telling me, you know, me and Austin Jackson just got traded. But that's the way it goes. Baseball's a crazy business. But when I think about Detroit, you know, it's just a lot of really good memories. So like I said, I'm excited to go back and play in Comerica. It's a great pitcher's ballpark.
When Smyly has been healthy, he has been great for the Rays. So the biggest thing for Smyly is to just stay off of the DL and stay on the mound. Dwayne?
All right, thank you. Staying on the mound would be a great thing, not only for Smyly, but the Rays, the way he's been pitching. That's going to be a fair ball lofted by Anthony Goss. And he is in there at second. 1-0 pitch, and Goss took it down the left field line, just fair.
Yeah, softly hit, good speed, and coming out of the box from the left side, off the end of the bat. That's why you saw Brandon Guyer, when he got to that ball, he threw that into second base on the run. Didn't take time to set his feet because he didn't have time. He got to get rid of it, and Goss still able to beat it and get in with a leadoff double.
19th double of the year for Goss. So the Tigers have a man at second base for the second time in this game. This time with nobody out. Here's Rajai Davis. Showing bunt. He did not offer. A ball and no strikes. It's a strike at the knees. 1-1. And to turn, nothing doing back there at second base. One and two. Another thing about Drew Smyly you like is that he's only 26 years old, and he really has the presence of a guy who's been around for about 10 years.
He's just so laid back. I mean, you could see that in the interview with Emily. Just kind of, you know, does his thing, and you're right, 26 years old, and I think he's found a recipe for success. I mean, things that he can do to win ball games, and it's not just one thing. He's got a lot of different weapons. There's the look at that trade on the deadline.
Smyly coming over from the Tigers. Nick Franklin from Seattle. This one is lined deep into left, and that will get out of here. Davis got up there and lined that one out. 2-0 Detroit.
Well, you're talking about soft, and it stayed up, it hung up into the eyes of Davis. He got a great look at it, and he hammers this pitch. I mean, a line drive out to left field. You see, here's the delivery, breaking ball, and boy, does it just stay up there around the letter.
His 5th home run of the year. And with that, the Tigers lead. And here's Ian Kinsler. The pitch is a strike. Well, Randy Wolf had pitched 20 and 2/3 innings in a Tiger uniform, and they finally get him some runs while he's in the game. There's a high popper right side. Matuk coming on. He'll handle this one for the out. One gone. So the Tigers here in the bottom of the third have put up 2. There's Miguel Cabrera. He sends one deep the other way. Matuk back just in front of the track, and he makes the catch. And that one off the bat, even though it was to the opposite side, caused a bit of concern.
Well, you're right, because he's got power that way, and Mikey Matuk took the Miguel Cabrera route. I mean, he started heading back towards the wall like, uh-oh, this is going to be trouble, and then curled it back to make that catch. But, yeah, you're always concerned with Miguel Cabrera because he has the kind of juice to leave the yard the opposite way.
J.D. Martinez takes a pitch for a ball. Strike on the outer part, 1-1. Well, Smiley out of the University of Arkansas was roommates there with Astros lefty Dallas Keuchel. One and two. And J.D. Martinez chases that pitch again and strikes out. Same way he chased it in the first. 2 runs scored, 2-0 Detroit. Join us at Tropicana Field Saturday for the always popular Star Wars night. Specially priced package includes a seat in the press level and a limited edition Honda Longo bobblehead. The Force is strong with this one, so don't miss out. Visit RaysBaseball.com/special events for more details.
Do you think our friends are going to join us in the booth again?
That was a harrowing visit they made to our booth in Oakland.
It was uncomfortable. The breathing, not a lot of words spoken.
Montook takes this one deep, but foul down the left side. 0-2. Yeah, just the presence was enough.
And behind you.
Yes.
You got to try to concentrate on the game, but they're kind of hanging over you.
Yeah, I tried to just get lost in covering the game.
I couldn't because he was that breathing was right in my left ear. Very uncomfortable. But so cool.
Yeah, and kind of a normal occurrence in Oakland on
Yeah,
late
right.
night with the Rays.
It wasn't even Star Wars night there.
Check swing and a foul ball back. Out of
Darth
play.
just catching an Oakland.
Yeah.
Maybe was just in town to go to the Raiders game.
Yeah.
Because they had the field set up.
Yeah.
He would be better for Raiders game.
Yeah. Fit right in. No one would even notice.
The black hole.
Yeah.
And the black villain. Yeah.
Inside now to Montook. 1-2. Rays facing Randy Wolf, 39 years old. There's a liner into left center. That's going to be good for a couple of bases. Montook on his way to second, picking up his second double. So the Rays with a leadoff double.
Well,
See if that leads to something.
Absolutely. I tell you what, you want to answer, obviously, and this is a great way to do it. A ball that Montook's able to get into and drive out into left center field. Immediate scoring opportunity with nobody out.
You see Evans work against lefties this year. .354. 18 home runs now. And a single his first time up. And Wolf gets a visit from his catcher, James McCann.
And I think what they're doing right now is trying to set up their signs, make sure they're on the same page. A runner, immediate runner out at second base, and when that runner's out there, you're going to switch your signs up from just the traditional, typically, one sign. You get the guy out at second looking in at the catcher, and you're going to have a series of signs. And so you want to make sure that
only the second base runner for the Rays, and the first time they've had one at second. Longoria fouls the first pitch away. Randy Wolf from California, originally drafted by the Dodgers and did not sign with them. Went to school instead, and then later on signed by the Blue Jays. There's a long drive deep to left. This one will get out of here, and it's gone. Home run for Evan Longoria, lowering the boom to tie this game. His 19th home run of the year.
And how about that? You match exactly what the Tigers do. Leadoff double, home run. And that was a rocket shot. Trying to come in, and Evan, boy, get the head out.
Well, Longoria now has 5 home runs in his last 7 games. That's 5 home runs in 24 at-bats for him.
Well, listen, if this team wants to make a run, Evan Longoria is going to have to be right in the middle of it, and he's certainly doing his part.
Pitch high to Logan Forsythe. So the Rays are on the board and have tied this game against Randy Wolf. There's a strike. Wolf originally getting to the big leagues with the Phillies. And had a long run there. Two and one. 3 balls and a strike. Came up with the Phillies in '99. Was drafted by them. And spent last year with 4 different organizations after the Blue Jays had signed him. Ground ball to short. Machado takes care of Forsythe, and that's the first out in the inning. And pitched briefly in the big leagues with the Marlins and then 3 minor league clubs. Spent time with the Phillies and the Dodgers, the Padres, Houston, the Brewers, the Orioles, the Marlins, and now the Tigers. And this one comes up. Machado's going to chase it into short left field, and Asdrubal Cabrera's aboard.
Now another base runner. That's going to be a hit for Asdrubal Cabrera.
3 hits in the inning now for the Rays.
Well, they're getting their second look at Randy Wolf, and now an idea of what his pitches are doing, what his game plan is, and that ball just eats up Machado. It was stroked. Oh, excuse me, Machado chases it down, ate up Romine.
And now Schaefer takes a strike. So Matuk doubles, Longoria homers. Forsythe out short to first, and Cabrera now with a base hit. Schaefer down 0-2. A ball, 2 strikes.
Well, Randy Wolf with base runners gets very deliberate, keeping an eye on Cabrera, trying to slow down the pace of this game.
Yeah, and he can make it difficult on base runners. He split the 2012 season with the Brewers and the Orioles. And in that year combined 9 steals against him, but 6 caught stealings and 4 pickoffs.
Well, you got that built-in advantage being a left-hander. You're staring at that base runner. And a lot of times you'll get, some guys have such good pickoff moves as a lefty that you'll get guys who have no intention of stealing. Other times you get them because if you're going to steal off a lefty, you go off first movement. So as soon as the leg starts to move, you're off. And if you're going to throw a pickoff or a predetermined pickoff, well, the guy's already in motion. So you throw it to first base, they fire it down to second, tag him out. And that's how you'll get a lot of pickoffs too.
And a cut and a miss. Schaefer, big cut, is out on strikes for the second out. In the game and all season long, Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports.
Was that the biggest swing that we've seen this year from Richie Schaefer? He saw that curveball spinning up there, and I mean, short of a tap dance before he swung the bat. I mean, he really wanted that pitch.
Almost a running start at it.
No. Oh, that's funny. Watch this. A hanging slow curveball.
You see that little circular motion of feet churning, ready to get to that pitch?
Happy Gilmore.
So the runner at first is Cabrera with 2 outs. 1-0 the count to Loney. Bouncer foul. Rays have scored 2 on the Evan Longoria home run to tie this game.
Well, you got to like the fact that there was a quick answer. I mean, the Tigers throw up 2 runs, and the Rays come right in. Matuk with a double, Longoria with a home run. Get this game back to even.
And that's popped up. Coming in from first, Cabrera right in front of Wolf. Wolf was all set to catch it himself, and Cabrera came in. 2-run score for the Rays on the home run by Evan Longoria. We are tied at 2.
To meet his hero at Yankee Stadium yesterday. Cal Ripken Jr. was working the game and around the clubhouse, so the rookie jumped on the opportunity to tell the childhood idol just how much he looked up to him and had posters all over his room. Cal Ripken Jr., he writes, was and always will be the gold standard for how to play the game of baseball. Such an honor, and inspired by how down-to-earth, approachable, and humble he is. I have a feeling that he's going to have a lot of things on his bucket list to cross off at just 24 years old, Dwayne.
And he's just getting started, so that's a great one to already have accomplished there. Here in the bottom half of the 4th, Nick Castellanos leading off against Drew Smyly with a count of 1-1. Smyly struck him out back in the 2nd inning. It's one of 3 strikeouts for Drew. Shot toward left center field. Kiermaier will have to run it down. Castellanos on his way to second with a leadoff double.
Well, the 2 pitches that Drew Smyly has been hurt on, you know, the home run by Davis and then the Castellanos double here, right? Another hanger. You know, just the breaking ball that's not getting below the zone, or at least to the bottom part of the zone, and able to get full extension and pop that ball deep out into left center field. Don't tell me it's going to be one of those games, back and forth.
Here's James McCann. He had a base hit against the shift. This time the Rays play a little more straight up, and now McCann
out of here
unloads one, and that's going to get out of here.
I mean, what are the chances? Third straight half inning, leadoff double, home run, first two hitters. I mean, I guess it is going to be one of those days.
So McCann hits his 7th home run, and again the Rays are down by 2. It's 4-2.
Oh, a Detroit answer, a leadoff double, and then you're going to see James McCann here off the fastball. And that ball's moving in, and he's able, much like Evan Longoria, get the head out, pull the hands through the zone, and then lift and separate.
Machado tries to bunt. That's a strike. Dixon Machado, now the hitter. One and one. Two balls and a strike. Hop into shallow center, and Forsythe makes the call and the catch. One away. Tigers took the lead in the 3rd on a double by Ghost and a home run by Davids. Rays tied it in the 4th on a double by Montauk and a home run by Longoria. And the Tigers have retaken the lead in the bottom of the 4th on a double by Castellanos and a home run by McCann. Romine swings and misses.
Well, that's one thing that we've seen from Drew Smyly is he's trying to get his feet back underneath him here in this year. An odd year. You know, missed some time coming out of spring training and then 3 starts. Then you go back with the labrum issue and now coming back from that. But the propensity to give up the long ball. You know, 7 starts with the Rays last year. He gave up 3. And he's in his 8th start this season, and that's already 9.
Yeah, what's the story with this home run by catcher's name McCann off the Rays?
Yeah.
That's 3 of the last 4 games catchers named McCann have homered off Rays pitching. That's a one hopper in the left. Romine is aboard with a single.
I believe they wear the same number too.
I mean, that's just not right. Brian McCann unloading a couple of home runs in the series in New York against the Yankees, including the big 3-run homer in the 6th inning yesterday. And now James McCann, Tiger catcher, a 2-run home run in the 4th today. Romine's at first with 1 out. Anthony Gose becomes the hitter. Runner goes, pitches down, throw not in time. Romine now 8 of 13 in the steal department.
And that one was stolen off of Drew Smyly. And J.P. Arancibia did everything that he could, had no chance to get him, but it was the break right there, the high leg kick, deliberate delivery, and that allowed Romine to get a great jump and steal that bag. Much like the Rays do, the Tigers here now being aggressive with the lead. Oh boy.
This one gets away. Arancibia will chase it toward the dugout. A turn by Romine, and he'll hang on at 3rd.
Boy, that ball way in front of Aaron Sebia. This is going to be a tough one to block for how far out in front it was. And he goes down. Actually, you know what? That hit the front of the plate. That hit something and really took off up and off the shoulder. Really didn't have a chance on that one at all.
Now ball 3 is down to Ghost. 3-0. So the wild pitch charged to Smiley, sending Romine to third. Ghost takes it in there for a strike. Foul back. The count goes full. 1 out. The Rays have pulled the infield up here with Ghost the hitter. Now the Romine has advanced to third. A foul ball, and off comes the mask of Aaron Sebia. We'll do the 3-2 again. 7 hits now off Smiley. Direct hit there by Aaron Sebia on the mask.
Peeled that thing right off, and now a walk to Ghost.
So it sets up men on the corners at first and third. 4 of the 5 men he has faced here in this inning have reached. And the Rays have some action going in their bullpen.
You know, what are they going to do defensively here? I know Davis can run a little bit. They had the infield pulled up for Ghosts, but now with an opportunity to maybe turn a double play to get out of the inning. I wonder if those middle infielders are going to head back. Jim Hickey to the mound with some instructions for Smiley.
A little twofold here. He can go over this situation and give the bullpen a little more time at the same time.
Well, then he shouldn't have jogged out there. Just walk slow.
He's taking a lot of time now, and that's going to draw Tishner, make him come out.
Yep.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, celebrates 13 years. Keep an eye on the Rays competition and watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV. Rajay Davis, who opened the scoring with a 2-run home run in the third. Really known more for his speed than his power, but he does have some pop, as we saw in the third. And here he is again in the fourth.
And the Rays do indeed take their middle infielders and move them back to regular. They would regularly be set up, hoping for that ground ball. Here's the thing, Drew Smiley, not a ground ball pitcher. I mean, he's
not at all.
You know, he's a fly ball guy through and through.
And Davis will hit the ball on the ground, but he's got that great speed.
Yep, that's the other part of the equation. You're right. Actually, you got a lot of speed out on the base path. We saw Romine already swipe a bag. Ghost at first. Davis at the plate.
Yeah, these three guys would pretty much represent the heart of their speed. Goes 20 steals. One and one the count.
Well, if you're James Loney over there at first base on these moves, if you get a close play and Ghost is diving back in, you've got one eye on making the tag, another eye on Romine, who's coming down that third base line on every throw.
Pitch is upstairs.
Every time you see Drew Smyly throw over, Andrew Romine is going to take a couple hard steps towards home plate.
Fly ball right field. Montook coming on. He'll make the catch and tag, but Romine will not attempt to score. Montook headed to the line and twisted his way in. Pretty good throwing position. So Davis is the second out. Romine still at third. Ghost still at first.
Yeah, that's a big out for Drew Smyly, and that's the one thing, we talk about the fact that he's a fly ball guy, but he gets a lot of soft pop-ups, shallow fly balls. That one there certainly helped him. Montook in there in range where if Romine's going to test him, he's going to gun him easily.
Well, here's another test for him. Ian Kinsler, who's 4 for 9 in his career off Smyly, but at the same time can be an aggressive hitter.
Oh, yeah, and you could take advantage of that. Give him something that's close.
And he takes a strike. An extended inning here in the fourth for Smyly. Way up there, and Aaron Sebia was wondering if that was still in the pocket of the mitt.
Boy, oh boy. Climb
Actually,
the ladder.
The webbing of the mitt more than the pocket.
I mean, that had a chance to pop right out of there. You almost thought to yourself that was a cross-up. I don't think that it was.
1-2.
It's a great example of using that elevated fastball to set up then the off-speed lower in the zone. He has continually changed the speed of the pitch, the eye level here against Kinsler in a very important at-bat.
Trying to limit the damage here to just the 2 on the home run. Fly ball, right field. This should do it with Montook out there to make the catch. 2 runs, both coming on the James McCann home run. We're through 4, and it's 4-2 Detroit. Here is the Geico great moment in history on this date. For the Rays in 2012, Ben Zobrist hitting a 2-run walk-off home run. That came in the bottom of the 11th against right-hander Mark Lowe as the Rays defeated Texas 3-1. That our Geico great moment in history. Kevin Kiermaier leads it off, chops it down to first. Knocked down by Cabrera. Close at first. Well, Wolf got over there to cover. That was very close. And Kevin Cash might want to double check that one.
Well, Tigers don't see a whole lot of the race. And you've got to get that scouting report on Kiermaier that he flies out of the box. And he's got a chance to beat this. Kevin Cash is going to wait, take a look. This ball stroked right to first. Ooh. Yeah.
Somehow Wolf got over there in time.
That close.
So one away. One pitch into the fifth. Now it's J.P. Arencibia. A couple of home runs and 9 runs batted in. And the soft breaking ball misses. Top of the order, Brandon Guyer will be next. There's a high shot deep into left center field, and that baby's out of here. Home run number 3 for J.P. Arencibia. And the Rays make it a 1-run ball game.
Did that get the back wall? That was close to the back wall. That's how far Arencibia hits this pitch. That ball was absolutely blistered.
He has put on a power display since joining the club from Durham. He had 22 home runs at Durham and now 3 since coming to the Rays.
Boy, everything in sync and on time.
Brandon Guyer shoots it fair up the right field line. That kicks out to Martinez, and Guyer's on his way to second. And here come the Rays. Well, the Rays now with 1 out are reversing the trend. It's a home run and then a double. 17th double for Guyer.
You just love this team answers once again with the home run. Now Guyer puts himself into position up the right field line. Tigers get a break with that bouncing right back out to J.D. Martinez. And Randy Wolf has not been able to keep this team down. Had twice handed now a 2-run lead.
And Jeff Jones spending some time on the mound while the Tigers get action. It's Drew Verhagen down in their bullpen. The pitching's been a problem both ends of the game for the Tigers.
Dwayne, I mean, you read my mind. I'm thinking how many trips have been made this year, because this pitching staff, starters, bullpen alike, has not been very good.
There's Montook. He drops that one into center field. Here comes Guyer. He will score, and the Rays have come right back to tie it. Montook's second hit. He doubled and scored in the 4th. Singles home Guyer, who just prior had doubled here in the 5th.
Well, he just waits on a breaking ball and just pokes it right off the end of the bat, but he's able to drop it over the head of Ian Kinsler. A nice job by Brandon Guyer on the read, knowing that ball was going to get down, and he's going to waltz in.
.44 in the 5th. Evan Longoria, who is 2 for 2, who homered his last time. Ball inside. Drops another one of those in there. at 67 miles per hour, taken for a strike.
We've seen that a number of times today, the slow curveball.
Up the middle, sharply hit. Montook will advance to second. The Rays now have a home run, double, and 2 singles in succession. And that's going to be it for Randy Wolf. Longoria is 3 for 3. 2 men on with 1 out. Pitching change coming. Back in a moment. Fifth. 71 pitches for Randy Wolf. He's out of there. Responsible for a couple of men on. And we can take a look at that Toyota trend, BA. And this is what we discussed earlier. And it's gotten even worse in the last 16 games.
Yeah, I mean, they're in a free fall at this point, and nothing working. The runs per game, obviously they've already exceeded that today, but just over 3, not getting it done in clutch situations. And then how about, I mean, you're giving up that many runs. You just do not put yourself in a position to win many. So it has been ugly here in Detroit.
Drew Verhagen is the new pitcher. The Rays will have Logan Forsythe to face the right-hander, 24 years old.
Well, the thing that jumped out at you at those numbers was just over 11 innings of work, 9 walks. Oh, command issues.
The pitch to Forsythe is a strike. A strikeout and a ground out for Forsythe. One and one. Command has been an issue for Verhagen. If you look in the minor leagues, he's averaged about 4 walks every 9 innings. And it's 2-1 to Forsythe. It's 3-1. He's behind Forsythe. full count. Runners go, and the pitch hit on the ground just outside of third. So the Rays, with one out, had started the men off first and second. Montook back to second. Longoria back in at first.
Yeah, treating this like there's 2 outs in the inning. Get the runners going. Trust Logan Forsythe to make contact. He's seen nothing but fastballs, so no reason to believe that's going to change.
Runners go, hit on the ground, shortstop backhanded, long throw to first. Well, they start the runners and stay away from 2. Montook goes to third, Longoria to second, and Machado with a backhanded stop made a nice play.
For a moment there, you thought maybe Forsythe would have a chance, had to go a little bit range in the hole, and then throw, long throw. But yeah, not only you stay out of the double play by getting the runners in motion right here. Here's the backhand. It would have been tough to get a double play anyway for where that ball was hit. But regardless, a nice play by Machado. But the Rays now with 2 runners in scoring position.
So that's why you start the runners, and we've seen Kevin Cash do that from time to time.
But early in the year, a lot of double steals. I mean, a lot of double steals. Kind of have gone away from that. But we saw it right there.
Yes, Jubal Cabrera now takes the first pitch strike. Well, he's had a hot bat. It'd be a good time for a base hit right now. One and one. A 2-ball and a strike count to Cabrera. Little tap. It'll be gloved by Verhagen, and they toss to first. So the Rays settle for 2 runs, a home run by Aaron Seabian, an RBI single by Montook. Bottom of inning 5 coming. This game is tied. Here in the game, we've selected the Data Strong fan photo. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag SS Data Strong Fan for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Miguel Cabrera leads off the inning, the bottom half for Detroit. And the pitch is a ball. Cabrera, then J.D. Martinez and Nick Castellanos. Pulls away from the pitch. 2-0. That's a strike. It's 2-1.
Well, needless to say for the Rays, huge inning here. Come back tied up for the second time. You got to throw up a 0 here. Not going to be easy with Cabrera leading the way, but that's what Smiley needs to do. Right at him.
Forsythe right there. They've retired Cabrera. Well, number 1 in the 5th. He's 0 for 3. And now J.D. Martinez. Well, they've taken care of J.D. Martinez. A couple of strikeouts on the breaking ball. First pitch he takes for ball 1.
Well, and the key is to get him to 2 strikes. I mean, he's chased 2 breaking balls that really haven't even been close.
Now it's 2-0. Three balls, no strikes. He's swinging, and a high pop foul. That's going to be out of play.
Now listen, when a guy's got as many home runs as Martinez has and that 3-0 count, you better believe they're going to be turned loose for that get me over strike. And if they get it, try to do some damage.
3-1 lifted into right center. Kiermaier takes care of that. So a ground ball and a fly ball. 2 up, 2 down. The designated hitter Nick Castellanos will bat. He has struck out and doubled, opened the 4th with a double in front of McCann's home run. First pitch strike. Fastball to start him, a .249 average. 15 home runs and 66 runs batted in. One and one. And to left. Over to make the catch. Geyer on the move. 1, 2, 3. Go the Tigers. We're through 5. Tied at 4. Rajay Davis opened the scoring with a 2-run homer in the third. Evan Longoria answered that with a 2-run homer in the fourth. In the bottom of the fourth, the Detroit catcher James McCann answered that with a 2-run home run. JP Arencibia in the fifth inning settled for a solo home run before Geyer doubled and Matuk singled him home to account for all the scoring in this game. It's a 4-4 ball game heading into the sixth. Drew Verhagen is in relief of Randy Wolf, who gave up all 4 runs on 8 hits and 4 1/3. And the first pitch to Richie Schaefer is a strike. You know that Richie Schaefer is just itching to get into that home run derby.
And what tipped you off? That last swing at the slow breaking ball?
The fact that they had to dig him out of the batter's box after he took that big swing.
And we've seen that a lot from Richie Schaefer. He gets a pitch he likes. He really, really cuts it loose. Sometimes that swing can get even a little bit long, really long, but boy, is it powerful. This will be the one thing that he fights in his career, is not getting so long with that swing. Powerful, yes, but try to shorten it just a touch.
And he got that one just over the head of Romine in foul territory. A big swing down toward the handle of the bat, and strong enough just to get it over the head of Romine to prevent him from making a great catch. Now there's a base hit the other way. That came off a 1-2 fastball, and the Rays put the leadoff man on base.
Well, if you're going to go in, you got to get it in. He does not do that, and Richie Schaefer able to inside out that ball out into right field. Rays leadoff man aboard. And now you want to get the wheels rolling. You're heading down towards the bottom of the lineup. And you got Loney, Kiermaier, Arencibia has already hit a home run, and try to take the lead.
So Loney 0 for 2. Pitch is down. In the case for the Tigers defense, Loney to pull on the infield and to go the other way in the outfield.
Almost just a slight shade. You got the shortstop Machado shading him up the middle a little bit. Third baseman Romine off the bag, well off the bag at third. But you're right, those outfielders played for him to hit that ball the other way. That's typically what he does. Got to play him pretty close to honest, and the infield, slight pull. But we've seen him how many times? You pitch him away, he goes the other way.
Bounces this one first base side foul. 1-1.
Well, there you go.
A 2-1 count. Ooh, a big cut there. And it's a 2-2 count now.
Now, such a big difference between the fastball and this breaking ball. 77 miles an hour. Able to get you not only with good break, but the change of speed. So Loney out in front and over the top of that pitch.
Chopper, it's Kinsler out at second, out at first, and they erase Schaefer and the leadoff single with the double play.
Well, and a nifty little glove flip there by Kinsler to Machado to start that double play. That ball hit by Loney up the middle, little backhand, little flip right on the money. Machado, plenty of time to complete.
Here's Kevin Kiermaier. Kevin looking for his first hit of the day. 0 for 2. Kiermaier's grounded out to the right side twice. Lines it into center for a base hit. Dropping in front of Gose. And the Rays move into double figures with 10 hits.
Well, that is nothing new for this team. Their newfound approach since the 1st of August, double-digit hits, it seemed to be a regular occurrence. And I'll tell you what, with 2 outs, I'd want to get Kevin Kiermaier here in motion towards second base. Try to get his speed into scoring position.
Well, you have a tall right-hander for Hagen's 6'6", trying to unload the pitch.
Kevin Kiermaier, the leading base stealer on this team.
16 of 19. Ground ball short. Machado takes it to second. The Rays are out. 2 hits, no runs, 1 left. Still tied 4-4. We're headed into the bottom of the 6th. That'll be it for Drew Smyly, who gives the Rays 5 innings. Gave up 4 runs on 7 hits. Walked 1 and struck out 3. You got J.D. Martinez twice on strikes. Rajai Davis started the run scoring of Smyly with a 2-run home run. So 85 pitches for Smyly today, and he'll give way to Brandon Gomes in the bottom of the 6th inning. With James McCann, the catcher, due, then Dixon Machado and Andrew Romine. Gomes making his 51st appearance 2-4 with a 354 earned run average, just 12 walks in just over 48 innings and 39 strikeouts. Gomes pitched a third of an inning Saturday against the Yankees in New York. So here's McCann. He is 2 for 2. The pitch is a strike. His home run came on the first pitch in the 4th inning with Castellanos aboard, a 2-run homer. Two strikes.
Well, if the Rays are going to pull out this victory, they're going to need another nice long day at work from their bullpen. Right now, you've got 12 outs on the board.
And there's a cut and a miss for out number 1 in the bottom of the 6th.
Yeah, good breaking ball there by Brandon Gomes. A lot of times it's that split finger that he's going to put a guy away with. Here with McCann, he works the breaking ball. Elude that swing.
Machado pops it up. That's going to carry into the seats. Machado twice has popped out. Blue Jays at home have beaten the Orioles 10-4. Actually, that was yesterday's game.
I was going to say.
Yesterday's scores here.
It's a quick game.
How did that happen?
Let's see what I got on that, D. Wayne.
See if we can update him. It's 5-4 New York in the top of the 6th over Baltimore.
Well, Baltimore had a big lead in that game. I think they were up 4-0 or 4-1. Yankees storming back.
And Boston has a 5-2 lead on Toronto. Popped up again by Machado. Foul ball. Loney after it and has a play. So 2 gone. And it's the Orioles hitting in the top of the 6th. New York 5, Baltimore 4. And at Fenway, the Red Sox have a 5-2 lead on the Blue Jays. Boston batting in the bottom of the 5th inning of that game. White Sox lead Cleveland 2-0 in the bottom of the 3rd in Chicago. Here the Rays and the Tigers are tied 4-4. One and one the count. Two balls and a strike. Minnesota's at Kansas City tonight. The Dodgers play the Angels in Anaheim. Boy, you get down to the number of games left, counting this one 26. All of these games very important if the Rays are to have a shot at all at the wild card. Hey, they're still within reach, but it's going to happen soon to put something together.
And you can't waste games. You know, yesterday's game, a waste. That game in Baltimore with the two run homer late, and then Chris Davis homer to end it, wasted a game. You cannot afford that anymore. You've got too much ground to cover, too many teams to climb, and not enough games. It just seemed like the other day we were talking about 40 games left, and now that you're in your mid-20s.
3-2 popped up, back into center, not too deep, and Kiermaier's there. 1-2-3 in the 6th for Gomes. On to the 7th, 4-4.
Kevin Cash has called this ball club the resilient Rays all season. Now that it's crunch time, it's most important for this ball club to live up to that name with 26 games remaining and 4.5 back from the second wild card spot. So the question of the month is, how much do these players pay attention to what other teams are doing? Here's Brandon Geyer.
During the game, sometimes you look at the scoreboard, see how they're doing, but at the end of the day, it comes down to us winning. If they're losing or whatever, if we're not winning, we're not going to climb at all. So, it's hard not to, but I think everyone does.
Have to stress that point that the most important thing for the Rays right now is to pay attention to what they are doing and not other teams.
And so the Rays trying to take care of their own business here, tied 4-4 as we go into the 7th. Al Albuquerque, the new pitcher, and Brandon Geyer misses the first pitch delivered by the Detroit right-hander. The tapper to third, glove by Romine. Throw to first, Geyer's out of there.
Thank you.
Now Grady Sizemore will pinch hit against this right-hander. He'll hit for Matuk. Mikey Matuk 2 for 3 today with a double, a run scored, and an RBI single. Here's Sizemore. Want to know Albuquerque, 29 years old.
Not one more letter fits. Can't do it. Can't do it.
Yeah, he's got to get bigger or the name shorter. It's almost a horseshoe right around his number.
I'd like to see the Albuquerque-Saltalamacchia matchup.
How about that for a battery?
Oh, man.
2-1 the count. Albuquerque pitched 4 days ago against Kansas City, gave up 4 runs in a third of an inning. Sizemore on the ground is short. Machado's there. So 2 up, 2 down. All the runs so far charged to the 2 starting pitchers. 4 off Randy Wolf and 4 to third. 3 strikeouts, 8 hits, a couple of home runs, and Smiley 4 runs, 7 hits in the 5 innings he worked. 3 strikeouts and 1 walk. Longoria takes the pitch down. Evan is now 3 for 3, collecting his 19th home run of the year. One and one.
Well, you know, and that's the type of hitter you brought up earlier about the 5 home runs in his last 7 games. Yeah, that's how he gets the extra base hits. Seem to come in bunches for Evan. I mean, he turns it loose, starts having some success. You can roll and carry you for a while, help carry a team.
He lifts it into right. Martinez makes the catch, and the Rays are up and down 1-2-3. 7th inning stretch in Detroit, 4-4. Rays baseball on Sun Sports, brought to you by Checkers. Epic meals, epic deals. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. And by Hattrick's Tavern, the premier spot before, during, or after the game. Come join the party we call Hattrick's. Bottom of the 7th inning coming. Rays and the Tigers. Brandon Gomes worked a perfect 6th inning out there to begin the 7th. Drew Smiley pitched the first 5. And a little change defensively for the Rays in the outfield. Sizemore pinch hit for Matuk, who started the day in right. And so Grady goes in to play left field, and Brandon Geyer moves over to play right. And to lead it off, Anthony Gose in the bottom of the 7th inning for Detroit. And then a swing to the top of the order, Davis and Kinsler.
Well, this is where you get some of the speed guys, and you want to keep them off base. Anthony Gose, especially leading off an inning. It's getting late.
Pitch is a strike to him. One and one.
I get the feeling that Brandon Gomes has that air about himself now where he's like, I'm a big leaguer. I belong in the big leagues. A lot of confidence with what he's doing. Talked about the streak that he went on. How many straight outs? 26, 27 of them.
He'll glove this one. And the underhanded flip halfway to first. Gose is out of there.
And he can do a lot of things for you. You know, I mean, he can come in to face a tough righty. Saw that on Saturday. Come in for a third of an inning. Here he's getting extended out into his 2nd inning of work already, so he can give you length if need be.
Rajai Davis, 1 for 3, hit his 5th home run of the year in the 3rd inning. And that's a ball. You can see Davis flinch a bit at that pitch. High shot back into left. Sizemore to the fence. Gone. Rajai Davis hits its 2nd home run of this game, and now it's 5-4 Detroit.
It's never your day or going well for you when in September you see a guy hit a 1/3 of his season home runs in one game. And that's exactly what Davis has done. 5 and 6 on the season. Another hanging breaking ball. This one a slider, stays up and out over, and he's able to get underneath it and lift it right out of here.
There's Ian Kinsler. Kinsler lines it into left. That will be in there. One hop to the wall. Kinsler heads to 2nd. A 2-base hit for the Detroit 2nd baseman.
Now we know Ian Kinsler's aggressive. He gets a fastball there. It doesn't get to the outside corner. And he is able to rip this ball down into the corner. Another chance here for the Tigers. And you're starting to move into the dangerous part of this lineup. You've got Cabrera, then Martinez. They're going to put him on, I think. That's what Kevin's saying. Not even going to give him the chance.
Yeah, and this really is as much about not giving him a chance as it is to set up a double play possibility.
Yep. And it's a very popular decision here in Detroit.
When you do put a guy at first and you get a chance for a double play, and who knows, you might get one and get out of it, but J.D. Martinez tends to hit the ball in the air more than on the ground. But you avoid facing Cabrera, who's leading the majors in hitting. First and second, one out, a 1-run deficit. J.D. Martinez. Another thing about Martinez, He's chased a couple pitches, but he can run some counts on you. He's had 2 3-ball counts in this game, and he takes ball 1.
Well, and when you get a guy at the plate that has the power that Martinez has and backs it up with the numbers, well, you're going to pitch him a little bit more carefully. And you're just going to move the ball around, and that will, if he shows any patience, will lend itself to some deeper counts.
With the strike, 1-1. Cut and a bouncer foul. Gomes has the count running in his favor. Detroit with a run. Coming on the home run by Davis here in the 7th, his 2nd home run of the game. There's a bouncer to third. Schaefer steps on the bag, throw to first. Scooped over there by Loney. And the Rays do get the double play. How about that? On the chop down to third, right near the bag. Schaefer fielding the ball on the bag. So the Rays get 2, down by 1 through 7. Take a look at our game summary brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. 5-9-0 for Detroit, 4-10-0 for the Rays. Home runs prominent in this game. Evan Longoria belted a home run for the Rays to get them on the board in the 4th. J.P. Arancibia has also homered. Rajai Davis, 2 home runs today and 3 runs batted in, and he's the difference in this game right now. And Alex Wilson is the new pitcher for Detroit.
Well, on for the 52nd time, a good ERA at 2.27, but you can see not a big strikeout guy, just 37 of them in 63 1/3 innings.
Logan Forsythe will lead off against Wilson, who last pitched day before yesterday against Cleveland, 1 scoreless inning. Forsythe looks at a strike. Asdrubal Cabrera will be next, and then Richie Schaefer. See what they can do with Wilson. Oh, 2.
Blaine Hardy warming up down in the pen, the lefty.
A ball, 2 strikes.
And then a steady diet of breaking balls on the outside corner. That one just off. Kind of pitch you start thinking about Logan Forsythe. He's going to throw it out there up the middle. Shoot that ball up the middle. See him do it all the time.
No, and a strike called. Forsythe caught looking.
Boy, he lulled him to sleep with the breaking balls, one after the other, and then boom, pop the fastball and put it right on the edge.
There's Asdrubal Cabrera. He's going to bunt and does so foul. Cabrera 0 for 2 in his career against Wilson. Wilson up through the Red Sox system. One ball, 1 strike. Now 2-1. More action in the bullpen. Felice joins Hardy.
You get the feeling that if there was another mound, somebody else would be throwing 2. I'm going to try to match up here for these last couple of innings. Tigers desperate for a win. Talked about that last 16 games, 3-13 record. It's not been pretty here.
Well, the Tiger team ERA is over 4.7 and pretty evenly divided between the starters and the relievers. Full count now.
Yeah, it's been equal opportunity offending.
Pitch up, and Cabrera fouls it back. So we'll see another 3-2 pitch from Wilson. There's a base hit into right field. So the Rays get a base runner with 1 out in the 8th. Be sure and bring your Rays superfan to Tropicana Field Sunday, September 13th, with a Rays Superhero Cape t-shirt presented by the Tampa Bay Times, available for youngsters 14 and under while supplies last. For tickets, call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Rays up. Rays are up here in the 8th, trying to do something against the Detroit bullpen. Down by a run, 1 on, 1 out. Here's Richie Schaefer. Going outside.
Well, it's just a steady diet of the slider from Alex Wilson. Threw a number of them to as Drupal Cabrera, of course, led Forsythe off with 3 in a row before the fastball. I'd like to see one of those hang with Richie Schaefer up there at the plate and his power.
And he picks up a strike. Got a fastball in there that time.
Yeah, boy, right at the bottom of the zone. Borderline pitch.
One on, one out. Rays down 5-4. A pop foul. That's Cabrera making the call, and he's got it. Cabrera on the run, just snatched that one. And both McCann and the pitcher Wilson closing, and Cabrera grabbed it.
Boy, a lot closer to McCann than anybody else, but Cabrera comes in there pretty nonchalant with the little basket catch, and that's going to get Brad Osmus out here to make a move.
Well, James Loney is due. Pitching change coming for the Tigers. Checking options that work as hard as you do. By Kubota. For more information or to find a participating dealer, go to FloridaKubotaDealers.com. And by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Well, James Loney is due. Blaine Hardy, the lefty, called upon, and Loney's going to be lifted. Tim Beckham will hit. Hardy not the overpowering sort of lefty. The pitch is a strike.
Big curveball there by Hardy at 77. Tim Beckham looking to keep this inning alive for the Rays, running out of outs.
Back in at first, Cabrera.
And that would be your C move. Very deliberate, straight over to first base. You would expect that Blaine Hardy has a better one than that.
That's a strike. In at 89, and it's an 0-2 count. Despite not being overpowering, he has been stingy with the long ball. And a cut and a miss. He takes care of Beckham. Big break there. Rays leave one. We go to the bottom of the 8th. 5-4 Detroit. Here's what's coming up on Rays Live, the pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. We'll be with you tomorrow at 6:30. Erasmo Ramirez on the hill for the Rays. We'll hear from him. And Orestes will break down Miguel Cabrera. Nick Castellanos will lead off the bottom of the 8th. Logan Forsythe moves from second to first. Tim Beckham in the game at second. And the Rays bring on their third pitcher of the day. And the first pitch to Nick Castellanos is in there for a strike. Matt Andriese makes his 19th appearance. Pitch is up.
Interesting year for Matt Andriese. He's done a little bit of everything, been back and forth a couple of times, started some games coming out of the bullpen like he is here.
Breaking ball, and it spins high. 2-1.
Showed that versatility to be able to handle both roles. We've seen him very good at times.
Takes the count to 2-2. Castellanos missing a fastball.
Take one more of those.
Andriese trying to hold the Tigers here in the bottom of the 8th to just this one-run lead. Count is full. Foul out of play. And Smiley, Gomes, and now Andriese for the Rays. Fly ball center field. That's going to turn Kiermaier around, but he makes the catch. A circuitous route to that fly ball.
I'd like to draw it, but you got to go off the bat. That ball was well struck by Castellanos. And Kiermaier going to head back. Now circle around, find it, then circle a little bit. Little hop. And out number one.
He could have been in the end zone waiting for a pass.
Yeah. That's really nice of you to bring that up.
Sorry.
I wonder how Todd Tichenor feels about that.
That's right.
Yeah.
From Nebraska. There's a bunt. And a throw from Schaefer away from Forsythe and down to second goes James McCann. So the catcher, who beat the shift in the second, homered in the fourth, puts down a bunt in the eighth, and winds up at second on a bunt single and an error charge to the third baseman, Schaefer.
Boy, the last thing that you would expect him to do is that. And that's why Evans got to come in as hard as he can, or excuse me, Schaefer comes in as hard as he can. Bare hand, and the throw just sails on him. Everything was rushed because you were caught by surprise. And McCann's able to take a left turn and get into second base.
So that puts him into scoring position. A bunt, and he winds up at second. Here's Dixon Machado. Outside, 1-0. Two balls, no strikes. With one out, a threat by Detroit. Right back into the screen. 2-1. Rays due to have Kiermaier, Aaron Sebia, and Geyer up in the ninth inning. Just hold this deficit to 1 is the idea.
Make it as easy on yourself as possible. And you got to make some big pitches here in order to do that.
Up the middle, base hit into center. McCann's going to stop at third. Kiermaier charging that in center field, and McCann got the stop sign from Dave Clark down at third.
Dave Clark was almost in the baseline, making sure that McCann was not going to test Kiermaier's arm. This is a rocket back up the middle. Kiermaier, of course, closing quickly. Machado, nice short stroke. And this throw actually takes a crazy bounce, too. Throws it right in the ground and up high. That bounce off of Forsythe's glove, but Dave Clark holding up McCann. I mean, no chance he was going to let him go.
Here's Andrew Romine. Pitch is a strike. Well, Romine shows the bunt. Nobody coming. And he had to get out of the way of that one.
That's the old Rays play. 1 out, first and third, the safety squeeze. How many times do we see that play work? Tigers looking maybe to steal a run here and just get out of the way of that ball up and in.
Now they put it on with the runner coming down the line. He runs into the out.
Well, there's nothing safety about that squeeze. That was the full out assault. And then the Rays able to pick up and out there. Andriese goes with the breaking ball, and Romine, look, he just whiffs at it. He had no chance on that. And he knew it. Just bad technique. And then McCann trying to, I don't know what he was trying to do. Put a move on Aaron Seavey and duck the tag.
So catcher to catcher there. Aaron Seavey tags out McCann. Caught stealing. So it's 1-2 now with Machado trailing up to second. Pitch is upstairs. So 2 outs with a man at second, and the count is 2-2 on Andrew Romine. Fouled back. Count holds at 2-2. The Rays pick up and out, eliminate the man at third. 2 outs, Machado at second. Two. Fly ball into left. Sizemore is there, and he's got it to retire the side. So the Rays get out of that spot. They're down by 1, headed into the 9th with Kevin Kiermaier due to lead off.
Of the 9th, and the Tigers lead 5-4. Be sure to stay with us after the game for Rays Live, the post-game show. Rich and Aresis will take over from the studio. I will be in the clubhouse getting interviews. We'll hear from Drew Smyly on his first start versus his former team. Check in with Kevin Cash in his press conference. Dwayne B.A., I just want to report that I am reporting from the Pepsi porch. So look at me. I'm just growing up right in front of your eyes. No Budweiser deck today.
Too early.
Yeah, it's a day game. 1-0, the count to Kevin Kiermaier.
It's got to be noon somewhere, though.
Lane Hardy on the hill. There's a strike. 1-1. Hardy got the strikeout of Beckham. And now a little bouncing ball to the right side. And Kinsler's toss is in time to get Kiermaier. So that's the first out.
Yeah, that's a tough one, too, because you would love to have Kiermaier on base to start this inning off with the havoc that he can create. And Brad Ausmus going to come out and make another move, it looks like.
So Hardy Gets 2/3 of an inning, and we'll be back with the new pitcher in a moment. Pitching change by the Tigers. They bring on Bruce Rondon, the right-hander, and John Jaso will come off the bench to hit for Aaron Sebia to counter the move to the right-hander. '29th appearance for Rondon. 1-0 and 3 of 4 in save situations.
Well, 34 punch-outs and 24 1/3. Does have 12 walks to go along with it.
Jaso fouls it back at 97, strike one.
Yeah, and a little twist to try to add some deception in there. Big fastball.
Jaso facing Rondon for the first time. Upstairs, 1-1. Daniel Nava has already moved into the on deck circle to hit in the place of Geyer. That's a strike. 1-2.
John Jaso's done a very nice job coming off the bench. Rays have had a lot of success with the pinch hitters this year.
Upstairs, well, that had some pop at 99. Trying to pick that one up.
Yeah. I mean, big velocity and in a spot where if it's swung at, that's it. You're done.
Two. It's a check swing and a foul ball. Up again, the hard stuff.
Everything's been up, even the 2 breaking balls.
Count goes full. And ball 4. Jaso draws the walk here in the 9th inning. And that's the first walk given up by Detroit pitching today. How about that?
How about that? And you don't see that very often. But with 2 outs to go, Well, he was up in the count, too.
Daniel Nava will pinch hit for Geyer with a runner at first and one out.
Hey, this works out, too, because Nava's just a little bit shorter than Jaso. So with every pitch being up.
Might be difficult.
Well.
He goes for the first one and sends a high fly ball back into left center. That's caught by Davis.
And Davis kind of acted like after he caught that ball, like he was expecting a tag up from Jaso to try to move to second base because he was so deep out in left center field. It's a long way out there. And he caught that ball and looked in, almost surprised that there was going to be no play.
Two outs. That's Grady Sizemore. Sizemore pinch hit and grounded to short in the seventh. Takes this one inside. Sizemore getting his first look at Rondon. Into center field. That's going to drop for a base hit. Jaso advances to second base. So Sizemore will keep it going. Jaso at second. Sizemore at first with two outs. Evan Longoria, who has 3 hits today, including a 2-run home run in the 4th inning when he connected off Randy Wolf. Evan's 19th home run of the year. So it's Rondon against Longoria here in the 9th.
Boy, what a matchup. What a matchup here. And Evan having a nice day. Very nice day.
He takes ball one.
Well, right now, this is the guy, obviously, that you want at the plate. Not only because of the day that he's having, but what he's been doing the last week or so. Swinging a powerful bat, a productive bat, and a chance here to put a capper on this one.
Cut and a miss. Got to get it started early, and the slider counteracts that.
Somebody was cheating. And you see Evan trying to get everything cleared out of there. And that slider.
Two and one. Longoria, 5 home runs in his last 7 games. The potential tying run at second base, and Jaso, Sizemore, the runner at first. Now that pitch down runs the count to 3-1.
We talked about the fact that he has had trouble walking hitters. You know, you see him changing his mechanics. That 1-1 pitch to Evan Longoria to kind of like a little half Louis Tiant. Having trouble throwing strikes, you may want to just stick with one set of mechanics.
And a cut and a miss. Well, he went to the slider, 3-1. Evan missed that one.
Well, runners in motion. Does he come with another slider? I would venture a yes. Those are the two pitches that he got the swings and misses with. You know Evan wants to swing the bat. But here we go. Runners go.
3-2. There they go. And ball 4. He missed with a fastball that hit 100. And the bases are loaded.
Just pitching himself right into trouble. And now he's got no place to put the next hitter. Logan Forsythe comes back with the fastball. I thought for sure that he would come back with that slider.
Well, Logan Forsythe due to be the Rays hitter. Not before Jeff Jones, the pitching coach, goes to the mound. A couple of walks and a base hit in between. The Rays still have a shot. Logan Forsythe is 0 for 4 today. An unusual occurrence for him in recent weeks. So he gets another shot. And he takes the pitch down. 1-0. Took the fastball. Strike 1.
Yeah, you know what? That pitch is a little bit more over the plate. Logan's going to take a rip at that and try to drive it right back up the middle. But you see that kind of crowds him a little bit. And so he pulls off of it wisely, even though it was a strike. Swinging there, that was just going to eat your bat up. Forget it.
And down and saved by McCann. 2 balls and a strike.
And you go right back to that just inconsistent command, but constantly changing his delivery to the plate. Doesn't make any sense. Rays would gladly take a couple more of those. But he's got 3 different deliveries, and you wonder why he can't consistently throw strikes. That's why. There's another one.
Ground ball, short, backhanded. Throw is wide to second. Out the call.
Well, Kevin Cash.
We'll see. Kevin Cash says, hang on. Backhanded play by Machado, and then the throw to second. Did Kinsler stay on the bag or not?
And I wouldn't even tell him, hang on. Just go look at it. I mean, this is it. It's a game. That's exactly what they're going to do.
So we'll take a look at that play at second base. So they will take a look at this play.
Now he certainly ends up off of second base. Where was the foot when the ball was caught? There it was. He's out.
And so this game is over on the forced play at second. And the Tigers win this one. It's a 5-4 final. Tigers take the first game of the series, and it's a tough defeat here for the Rays. Here's another look.
Yeah, and a tough way to end it. Backhanded in the hole. The throw is wide. Ian Kinsler coming in.